Good morning, everyone, especially to our dearest professor, Sir Rex Lim. By the way, we are the first research person this morning. I am Elvi Pangilan with my co-reporter Jean Brillia Plaza, and our topic is all about principles and procedure of materials development. And my task is focused on procedure of materials development. Based on my research that there are two types of procedure of materials development. These are the macro level and the micro level. And under on macro level, it includes the design and overall framework. So under on when we say design and overall framework, this is often derived from syllabus provided or prescribed by the Ministry of Education or by international body or by the institution. Aside from that, deciding on general approach or the different elements to be covered is include like the pronunciation. So we all know that pronunciation is very important because uh, sometimes this is the most and difficult problem of non-native speaker because it improper pronunciation may lead negative impression, misunderstanding, and ineffective communication. We have the vocabulary. It also necessary because this is the central in English language teaching. Without sufficient vocabulary, students cannot understand others or express their own ideas or opinions. We have the grammar. It is also provide information that helps the reader's comprehension. It is the reader structure that conveys precise meaning from writer to the audience. Here also the function and notation. This is can be defined with a rule, and the rule can be expressing using function notation. And step 10 to 4 skills. These are the uh, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So these four skills really important because it is a part of the effective development of spoken language. Without uh, this is for achieving on effective written communication. Next, we have the letter B, the select text and activity. As a future educator or as a teacher, you need to select the text and activities that you want to be uh, implement inside the classroom or outside. Or this is all about the criteria for selection, and it include the first the intrinsic interest. So when we say intrinsic, this is about the interest of your students, example in terms of arts. So next also the relevance to learners experience like age and maturity. You need to select an activities which is relevance or your student has or have a prior experience on it, or it must be suited to their age and maturity. Next, the length must be specific. As a teacher, you need to know how to start and end. And the cognitive difficulty activities must be suited to their intellectual or the cognitive of your students. And next is the cultural and medium. We have the aesthetic appeal, which is uh, the material should be visual or visually appealing and the salient and memorably. So that's it. And now step down to micro level, and it includes or under it like according to Hans Fields, he identifies the 5 stages in writing process. First is selecting activity type in stage 1. So you need to select your activity for your students. Stage 2 Aim in activity fit. So, what is your aim? Why you select that kind of your activity, and the activity must fit to the learning of your students. Next is the initial design solution. The stage 4 is writing the students' materials. And the stage 5 is refining the procedure and writing the rubrics. That is according to Hansfield, the 5 stages in writing process. And according to Malay 2011, in terms of a chart rather for generating ideas, he divided it into three: uh, it, the inputs, process, and the outcomes. So when we say inputs, this is all about the human resources like people. Uh, you need to be. It is also important to know their experiences, their feelings and opinions, and you have the topics, the theme, and the text. So that your topic or your theme must be literary or non-literary. It might be published or students generated or extensive readers. We have the relia and the visual. Example is photographs, videos, or art film. And then audio. It is all about the music or sounds. We have the internet like the CD-ROM, YouTube, and many more. We have the games and simulation and the role play and the oral accounts. In oral accounts, example or include the stories, the jokes, the anecdotes, the presentation rather. Next is we have the problems. Under on the problems, you can use the puzzle, logical problems, and students made materials. Next is the process. In process, it's focused on creative and quality of the materials. So number one is, or first is the generic time. It might be long or short. So as what I've said earlier to the my past explanation about time, so it must be specific, how to start and end. Next is the intensity. It might be high or low. Next is the mood. The mood is focused on individual work, or it might be pairs, groups, whole class, or public or in private. Next is the medium. So it might be spoken or written, task or presentation or performance, and processing or producing. Next is the management. What is your routines, instruction, and question during your discussion? Then next is the techniques. What is your techniques to use in order your students become effective and they must listen to your discussion? So it might be questioning, ask their or his or her opinion, or you need to use the jigsaw reading, listening process, writing reading skills. And next we have the task types. So in this task type, it includes brainstorming, classifying, and evaluating. Not just that, it includes also the performing or researching. Well, in generative procedures, so under on it as matching, media transfer, or selection or ranking, or etc. So that's it. It's all about on process. While in outcomes or the result, so we have for the materials outcomes, the pedagogical outcomes, the educational outcomes, the psychology, uh, psychosocial outcomes rather, psychosocial outcomes. So when we say materials outcomes, it focuses to students' text, visual displays, and performance. While in pedagogical outcomes focus on evidence of learning of the students, like their test results, fluency, or how they becoming a good reader, learning to learn, handling feedback. So that's it. So under educational outcomes, it increase their social and intercultural awareness rather. So they must be your students must be aware in terms of intercultural, because we all know that inside the classroom everyone or each student has different uh, background. So you need, as a teacher, you need to be aware on that. So it is also include about their critical thinking. You need to understand on it, their creative problem solving, example, their independence and knowledge management, because not all students they are fast learner. They're also students that are slow learners. So as a teacher, you need also to feel what your student um, feel. So that's it. Next is the psychosocial outcomes. So under on this or in it, increase a self-esteem. So as a teacher, you need to encourage your student to boost their self-confidence or their self-awareness, or as what I've said earlier, you need to encourage them to participate in discussion or in program in school and everything. You need to in terms of their cooperation, like in group solidarity, their responsibility as students, and their attitude and tolerance of differences. So uh, you need also to, as a teacher, you need to know also the differences of your student. You're just not focused on one, but you need also to be focused or know who is your students in all. Next is, so that is according to Handfields and Molly. But aside from that, according to Boards and Gall, that materials development procedure are the analysis, the planning, developing, and evaluation and revision. So that's it. In analysis, that this the learner must be the learner plus the curriculum and the syllabus. So it equals to, so analysis. In planning, it involves the formulating of learning objectives, making concept map, and developing learning outcomes. So it is all about the planning. So as a teacher, you need to know it, that what is your learning objectives, or you make a concept map or a learning outline rather. Next is the developing. In developing, it includes decomposing material comprehensively. So as a teacher, you need to know it, if the materials used is suited to the level of understanding of your students, if there's a development in terms of learning. So when you think that there's no progress in terms of learning, so you need to change it and find another way which your student can learn well. So next is the evaluation. So in evaluation, it includes the review by expert judgment and conducting product trials. So in this kind of procedure, so this is now the time to know if your students learn or well by giving them an assessment, like for example through exam, quiz. So in that way, you can conclude if the students they learn through your in while you discuss or not by the result of their assessment. And next is the revision. So this is not the time on conducting the improvements based on the revision revision results. So when you think that in evaluation or in the assessment the result is not good, so this is not the time to revise. This is not the time to find the what should another way in order your students will learn more. You need to find another strategy, methods to use in order students become uh, effective, or they will learn about the discussion. So that's it. And aside from that, the material development procedure also, it includes the design, the implementation, and evaluation of language teaching materials. So I think that would be all. Thank you for listening.